Spring in Florida is not like spring anywhere else. While everyone else is waiting for their last frost date, our window is already open and it closes faster than you would think. It was a rough winter this year. The entire eastern seaboard experienced much colder temperatures than average, and your garden may be looking rough, leaving you wondering when to start your plants for spring. And while it may be tempting to wait a little bit longer because the nights are still a little bit chilly and we're still having a couple of cold days a week, I implore you, do not wait. Now is the time to start your vegetables here in spring for zones 11 through 9. Now, if you're in South Florida or in zones 11 or 10B, you need to be starting your plants for spring ASAP. I generally start my plants in early February and recommend doing so for all of South Florida. If you're Central Florida along the ridge line, the center of the state, you're going to probably be comfortable with a start time of around end of February. And if you're North Florida, even though you are still dipping a little bit in the evenings and at night, you still want to have your spring vegetables started absolutely no later than early March. So basically, don't delay. It's time to get planting for spring right now. Let's start out with the workhorses of the garden world, and that is our native edible species. Both Everglades tomato and Seminole pumpkin are known to grow wild in South all the way up through North Florida. These were plant species, edible plant species that were cultivated by the native peoples prior to colonization. So this is something that clearly is incredibly well adapted to growing here. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the Everglades tomato, it is not a typical cherry tomato. It's considered a currant tomato, which is even smaller than a cherry tomato. Bright red, fantastic flavor, but they're much more of a sprawler. Now, one tip when planting Everglades this time of year, which is the proper time, we can get production from these plants well into our summer months if we plant the plant in part shade. They do fantastic in food forests, and I love to put them at the edge of a fruit tree where they have access to light. They're not in dense shade, but they get a little bit of protection. By doing so, you'll extend your season at least a month, if not 2 months, into the hottest part of our summers. The Seminole pumpkin is going to go wherever it darn well pleases. If you're not familiar with this plant, it is a beast. This is not a container plant. This is not something for small space growers. These vines can reach 30, 40 feet in length. And while that may sound insane and not well suited to growing in the city, I absolutely do. What my preferred method is starting them in my raised beds in the corners, so that as the vine starts to grow, it falls out of the raised bed, and then I just let it sprawl and climb throughout the garden. If it's in the middle of a walkway, I kind of just tuck the vine as it's growing up along the edge. I have had Seminole pumpkins last 2-3 years in my yard. They'll die out in patches, they'll keep going in other areas. It is a fantastic, incredibly resilient crop that nobody should pass up if they have the space. The next group of plants I want to highlight is our climbers, things that need a trellis. Trellising is a fantastic way to maximize the production in a small space, and it is something that I incorporate into every season and every garden plan I do. Now, some standouts for trellises in the springtime are Thai soldier long beans. Now, your typical long beans are like a yard long, and a lot of people are less familiar with how to cook them. I feel like the Thai soldier in particular is like a happy medium. The bean pods are much shorter, but they're just as resilient in the heat and the dry that we get in our spring months. And let me caution you, this is one of the most prolific beans I've ever grown in my entire life. If you have 2 or 3 plants, you will easily be able to meet your family's needs for beans for the entire year, as long as you're willing to put some away, freeze it, can it, whatever. Incredibly prolific, so you don't need to overplant. The other climber that really thrives in spring is suyo cucumber. Now, suyo cucumber is not your traditional slicing cucumber like we would get from the grocery store. It's a little bit closer to maybe like an English hothouse long skinny cucumber, but they are incredibly well adapted to our temperatures. They also have a thinner stem, so they have less pest problems than some of the alternatives. So suyo cucumber is a nice burpless cucumber that I highly, highly recommend planting during these months. Now we do have another vine, but it's not necessarily a climber, it's more of a sprawler, and those are our dry beans. Lima beans, cowpeas, and Puerto Rican black beans do incredibly well this time of year as the temperatures start to soar and we don't have a lot of rain yet. So I would highly recommend putting some of those into your garden. They do great ground cover. They will ramble a little bit on trellises, but they're very much more of a sprawling type plant. Let's talk about peppers. That's a fan favorite. Lots of people love to plant it, but we need to do so with caution. So here we have a lot of nematode issues. We have incredible heat and humidity. And a lot of the places that really do well with peppers tend to be more arid than we are. And so a lot of those peppers struggle when you plant them here. If you are going to plant peppers, I highly recommend doing a seasoning type pepper like ají dulce or suave numex. There's a whole bunch of varieties that you can try, but the thing with them is they are very slow growing. So while they can take the heat and everything that we bring in spring and summer, they take a really long time to get started. I actually have people email in when they order seeds from my shop saying, hey, everything germinated fantastic except the peppers. And I'm like, well, how long ago was it? Inevitably, it was only like 2 weeks or so after planting. These peppers can take up to a month to germinate, and if it's cool weather out, they won't germinate at all. So this is one, if needed, to bring indoors just to get them to pop, to germinate. You can do so, but they do need warmth to germinate, and they're going to need a little bit more time than a lot of our other starts for spring. So get them started ASAP. Next stop is leafy greens. Now remember, spring is kind of like bridging the gap between winter and summer. We're not hot, we're not cold, we're somewhere in between. And so what needs to happen is we need something that can germinate in cooler temperatures potentially, but handle the heat without bolting or becoming bitter. Now there's quite a few leafy greens that fill that niche. Tokyo bacana is one of them. Ethiopian kale is another standout. Perpetual chard really shines this time of year. It's not as thick as your traditional Swiss chard. It's a much smaller leaf. You can easily put it into salads, that kind of thing. Mizuna is another great option, technically in the mustard family, but it's not that spicy, pungent flavor that you come to expect from most mustard greens. You need to be able to find something in that in-between zone. Otherwise, you're going to plant it and things are going to bolt instantly, and you're not going to get the harvests you expect. Now we need to talk about what not to plant this time of year, which is just as important. I know it can be really tempting to double down on whatever's looking lush in the garden because it's doing so well, but we as gardeners need to constantly be thinking about a month, 2 months, 3 months even down the road. What we're planting now is not going to be in the same growing conditions that we're currently experiencing. So while our brassicas like cauliflower and cabbage and kale and all of these things are looking amazing, if we plant those and start those now, it's not going to cut it. So unfortunately, we are going to have to say goodbye to these crops unless you happen to find some starter plants in your North Florida. You might be able to sneak it in, but if you're starting from seed, I would not recommend it. Another one that's on its way out the door is our root crops. If you're North Florida, you might be able to jump on it real quick and get another round in of the shorter harvest time frames like turnips perhaps, but anything that's longer like carrots and that kind of thing, if you plant it now, they're going to take real heat stress towards the end of development and not result in a very sweet texture or flavor to the roots. So cut your losses, move on to something else. That is one of the perks about growing here in Florida. There's always something else to plant. So while the door on this might be closing, another door is opening. Now, if all of these plants and all of the varieties seem a little bit overwhelming and you're just looking for this is what you should do right now, do it. I do have a Florida Veggie Seed Club. We have spring shipment coming up in March, so if you want to get in on that, or perhaps the following shipment, I send it out 9 varieties of seed mailed right to your door so that you don't have any of this guesswork. You don't have to remember to check my videos for the next season. It just shows up ready for you to plant. If you're more of a DIY approach and you don't need that exact guidance based on seasons, I do have bundles on the site as well. Things for like spring bundle, trellis bundle, that kind of thing. So whatever suits your fancy, we try to provide that for you. And if you are looking for my tips on how to best prepare your garden for spring planting, talking about the soil, how to transition your crops out and replace them with the new stuff, watch this video next and you'll have a great setup